Hey guys, welcome back to the East Texas Ecology Podcast, where we talk about all things biology and organism related to the East Texas Ecology. I'm your host, Sophie Scott, and today we have Ian King, who I'm going to deem the mushroom man of today, as we are talking about mycology and some species, resources, and future directions for the field of mycology and how it relates specifically to East Texas. So, without further ado, here is Ian King.
Hi, guys. I'm very excited to talk about mushrooms today. I feel like they're just a little guy in a big world, and nobody really pays attention to them.
I agree. A little fun guy. Had to. You know what I'm saying? Had to.
So I would like to start with the basic knowledge that we already have, how they are already decomposers of so many environments, not just forests like we have here in Nacogdoches, but also in like extreme areas like the tundra or caves in the desert. They do things for our environments that would leave them completely different if fungi just disappeared. They have elements that they put out into the soil for all of the plants to consume that are essential for healthy forests, and that would be nitrogen and phosphorus. Forests need a lot of this element to be able to function as well as they do.
Right.
And they get that through the mycelium network, which is everything else you don't see from a fungi. You see one little bit above ground, and there are hundreds and thousands of feet, miles of mycelium network, thin as a thread, that connect trees to trees and plants to plants, and trees can feed their nutrients to their familial trees, whoever they want to, if they're sick, if they're dying, or if they're not getting enough sunlight. So they're very integral to a healthy forest and a healthy ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's also important to touch base on the fact that they kind of do a job that I feel like not a lot of other species are kind of willing to do in the environment, which is decomposing that dead material. And whenever we see forest systems or tundra systems that need that decomposition, you know, whenever we think about the floor of a forest and we think of leaf litter, dead plant material and things like that, I feel like they're kind of the guy in the back, you know, that's kind of helping put on the show, recycling those nutrients like you mentioned with the thread-like structures underneath, which is crazy that they go on for miles. But that just goes to show how truly interlocked everything is in our ecosystem.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you see, I feel like some people pay attention to them. There's some really pretty ones, you can stop by and appreciate a mushroom. But there's also forageable ones, some that we have in the area, and honestly across a lot of the U.S. except for certain excluded states, would be the morel mushroom, the oyster mushroom, and the chanterelle mushroom. Those are
the pretty one. The pretty one gets the sparkles.
Yes, golden and orange and beautiful.
Aromatic too, I hear. I hear that they smell like apricots.
Yeah, or floral or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Something like that.
Either they taste like floral and they smell like apricots, or it's opposite. Something like that.
Something.
Strange.
Yeah. For a fungus. Kind of crazy.
But speaking of foraging, please be careful. If you don't know how to identify a mushroom 100%, full anatomy, cap, gills, stalk, everything, you might die.
Don't just eat it because you think it is that.
Yeah.
Please double check.
If you don't know what it is, because there are plenty of mimic mushrooms, especially for the mushrooms that I just told you about, they might look iconic, and they are iconic, but there are plenty of lookalikes, and if you don't know what you're looking at exactly, it can be dangerous. Please look at your organizations that are nearby, your clubs that are nearby, for people who know what they're doing. People who know what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like professors might be a good resource for that, the clubs and organizations that you mentioned. We are also living on native land.
We are.
How do you see that, I guess, playing out? I just want to know your insight on the Caddo Nation.
Yeah.
As we are living on Caddo land. And it's kind of their land that they know about. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So I think Native people might be our best guides to the land because they have and do live with the land. That's like they always have, you know? Yeah. They borrow from the land, they forage often, and so you will often find really good cookbooks with with your local Native people because they know what's edible, they know what tastes good. I've seen flour made out of acorns, like there's all kinds of things you could do with plants that you wouldn't even think of.
Right.
So for the Caddo people, I am not certain if they accept visitors. I know there are some things, like I have seen out on Facebook groups when they put out, like, they have art shows, and I'm like, oh, that's very cool. So they do accept people at certain times. Don't know if they accept them all of the time.
Right.
But definitely check with your Native people if they like visitors, if they like teaching people. They know a lot about foraging.
Yeah, and beyond foraging, too, there are so many medicinal values of mushrooms. Absolutely. In particular. And I can only imagine, I can't speak upon much knowledge on it, but I can only imagine the medicinal practices and holistic practices that Natives have used for years.
Yeah.
Do you see any, I guess, holistic practices being used today in modern medicine with mushrooms?
Yeah, absolutely I do. There are actually current clinical studies right now. And they have been for a while. I don't know for how long. I mean, definitely before, like, the war on drugs. And, again, now that it's still a little more worrisome to step your feet into it. But people are doing clinical studies with shrooms. Psilocybin mushrooms, actually. Yeah, I feel like they deserve their own thing because they're, the magic mushroom.
Yeah, the hallucinogenics.
Yeah, so they have been used in instances of PTSD and addiction, from what I've seen. There might have been more studies, but these are the ones I've seen. For both of these things, they are therapized beforehand. They have sessions for a number of months. They talk about the issues that they're going with either PTSD or addiction. And then they dose them with mushrooms while they are in there with their therapist. They lay down and have their headphones on. They're having their hallucinations, and
which is how you have them.
That is how you have them, guys. Just so you, like, hot tip. But they will also be therapizing them as they go through that, talking about the issue that they are looking to help alleviate with shrooms. And it's worked for plenty of people. The big thing about it as well, especially for people who suffer with PTSD and addiction, usually they're in not so great spots.
Right.
And psilocybin, like mushrooms, like the things you get from it is serotonin. It enhances your serotonin for 8 whole months. Hot tip. Please take shrooms if you're going to take them and you want to and you feel prepared. Please take them 8 months in between if you want to do it again. Even if you have a bad trip and you want to take them again to get rid of what you feel afterwards, wait 8 months, please. It takes that much time to get it out of your system because it does alter your brain chemistry. It really does. So you don't want to fry your brain. Please don't fry your brain on drugs. Be safe if you're going to consume them. That's my hottest tip of all. Be safe if you're going to consume drugs.
Nothing wrong with them, but be safe.
Be safe, please.
I feel like that's kind of a big step, at least for the field of psychology in particular, as we are seeing things like PTSD and addiction. We're not seeing very many pharmaceutical practices, I guess, really help people with that. And with PTSD in particular being such a large problem in America, I feel like this could be, I feel like it's a promising avenue for the field of medicine. And I'm excited that we got to talk about it today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing a little bit of your in-depth knowledge and being a fun guy on the show.
Oh my God, a fun guy.
A fun guy.
Started and ended with it.
I know. Had to. Full circle moment,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ian King, for being here today. I hope that you guys will join me next week. And yeah, thank you again.
Bye.